With the combine over, focus shifted to St. Louis, where the 2009 MLS SuperDraft would be held. The players nervously anticipated their fate.
Me and Perry Marisovich, he got drafted to Dallas. Me and him were pretty much freaking out the whole time. You know, like the day before, I remember us just like, we couldn't like sleep, we couldn't do anything, you know, like we just wanted the day to come. Like we wanted it to be, you know, 1 o'clock already, because we just wanted to get the draft underway.
Come draft day, I got pretty nervous because, you know, I saw the stage and I saw what was going on. There was fans there cheering and the coaches were all doing their thing, and it actually was a bit nerve-wracking.
It was a nerve-wracking day. Like that's the only way I can explain it, because you have no idea, you know, where you're gonna go. You know, like your life basically changes in an instant. You know, you're headed to a different city.
With one decision, you're gonna go to a different state and have a new set of teammates and a new career.
Steve Zakuani's wait would be the shortest.
With the first pick of the first round of the 2009 MLS SuperDraft, Seattle Sounders FC select Steve Zakuani.
That was the longest 4 minutes of my life, and then eventually got up and everything went well. The day before the draft, remember Alexi Lalas called me in my hotel room and said, you know, where do you want to go? And I said, Seattle. He says, where do you think you'll go? And I said, Seattle. And so that was the main thing. So when I started hearing that they might trade a pick, that's the one where it was like, okay, now I wouldn't mind going 5th, 6th, or 7th, wherever they drop down to, because I want to go there.
With the second pick, Toronto FC select Sam Cronin.
I kind of just went in with no expectations. I didn't want to get too excited or get too excited about one thing or one team or one situation, and I was nervous. I had to get up and speak in front of everybody. So I don't even, I got a busted lip at the combine, so I couldn't talk very well either. So they just threw me up there and I had to speak. I'm not too good at talking in front of big groups of people.
As the draft moved on, Omar Gonzalez went to LA, and 4 picks later, Chris Pontius heard his name.
Once they said UC Santa Barbara, I knew it was me. You know, and it's just like, you know, a dream come true. You know, there's so many emotions like running through you. I honestly was like so like caught up in the moment that like when I went up to the stand, I almost said another team, because I totally forgot that DC United had drafted me. You know, you're not concentrating on that. You're just like, your parents are there, my mom, like I could hear, like as soon as I hugged her, I could hear her start to cry. I was worried about my speech, you know, like that was the big thing. You know, I went up there and I was, you know, don't stutter, like kind of thing, you know, don't mess up on this, because no one had messed up before me. So I was just kind of like, okay, don't be the first person to mess up.
One player still on the board was Stefan Frei, who many thought could go as high as number 2.
I was pretty confident that I did fairly decent at the combine. I mean, I got the player MVP, which was a huge honor for me as well. The one thing that I thought, I mean, you're sitting there sweating, you know, like crazy, because I mean, now my contract was already signed, so there's not so much at stake except for the fact of where you're going to end up, you know, what's the keeper situation. But you're still really nervous because you want to know how your life's going to, you know, change.
In this year's draft, goalkeeper wasn't a need for that many teams that were taking, you know, that were picking early on, and some teams just had bigger needs, and Stefan ended up being a victim of that. And so it wasn't so much that his stock dropped, it's just that the teams that would normally have taken him or would have moved up to take him just had other needs or couldn't make the moves that they needed to make.
The one moment was Chivas as well, yeah. Chivas, because I mean, my agents, as soon as I was still available at 9, they were like, you're going to Chivas, you know. So that was, but at the same time they told me, you know, you never know what's going to happen. But if Chivas doesn't take you, that'd be, you know, we'd be really surprised. But then they ended up not taking me, you know, so you have to just be, you know, just wait your turn and then see what happens. So.
With Frei still waiting, the draft room was stunned at number 12 when Real Salt Lake picked under-the-radar midfielder Gene Alexander.
I was speechless because I didn't have any expectations. Like I said, you know, there were talks about, you know, I'd spoke to some different teams, saying they liked me, they were impressed and all that, but I had no really expectations, and I just dropped to my knee and I just prayed and thank God.
Frei's wait would come to an end with the next pick, as he was selected by Toronto FC.
Toronto was the big winner in all of it, because, you know, they couldn't have been faulted if they took him at 2 or if they took him at 4, and they actually wind up landing him as late as they did.
As unsigned seniors, AJ De La Garza and Richard Jada didn't know what to expect on draft day. De La Garza followed the draft from home.
During the draft, I just wanted to be with my family, and that was basically it. I didn't want to have a big party or anything, because I mean, it's just not something I wanted to do. Actually, one of my good friends from Maryland, Graham Zusi, called me, and he's one of my best friends at Maryland, and He knew before I did. I guess his computer refreshed before mine, so he called me and he was really happy for me. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then it popped up on my page, and I mean, I was just happy. I was like, wow.
Jada, who wasn't invited by the league, paid his own way to St. Louis.
I watched it over just probably the past 3 or 4 years on TV and on the internet, and I wanted to experience it. I mean, I dreamed about like getting drafted.
He sat and waited through more than 3 hours with no assurance he'd ever hear his name called.
It was nerve-wracking the whole time, just sitting there waiting. I thought I was going to get picked, and I started to lose hope, but I don't know, I stayed positive. I prayed a lot. I knew if they brought a scarf out, they were going to draft a player that was there. And so I always see the lady go in the back, and she didn't have a scarf. When she came back out, I'm like, all right. The last guy that was there was 28, and then I had to wait, from 28 to 58. My head was down at the time because there was 3 picks left. I'm just thinking, dozing off, and I didn't know if it was me actually saying it to myself. But my dad was like, Richard, they got a scarf. If he was saying it and he was joking, I was like, I knew he wouldn't joke, but I was gonna be so mad. And I lifted my head up and I didn't see anything, but I felt like some attention towards me, like people looking at me, and just said my school and my name. It was a total relief.
Jada had sat and waited. He'd hoped and prayed, and finally he'd make the audience laugh and cry.
I don't really know what to say right now. I just say thank you for everyone that just stayed around and waited to see me get drafted. Maybe save the best for last. Maybe I can prove that. Thank you, Chicago Fire. That's awesome. I wanted to go to Chicago in the first place and just had to make me wait. Thank you. And I'd like to thank my coaches, Doug Hess. I'm sorry for taking so much of your time, but I feel like I deserve it because I've been sitting there waiting. And most importantly, I just want to thank my dad because it's been our dream since I was born. And my mom and my brothers and my agents that sat here and wait, Farouk, Tom, and Chris. And I'm getting a phone call now, so I gotta go. Thank you guys. Bye.
Next time on Rookie Life. First impressions.